Hello everybody, for this bonus video, I would like to apologize. I was wrong about Sorcerous Burst. It's actually better than I thought. So I got this comment saying I was wrong. And they were definitely a character. So I've redone the math. I will show you the math output first. So if you just want to know the answer, um, here it is. So what I did wrong in the what I did in the video is I thought I did 55, sorry, 5.5, 5.5, 11.1, 16.58, and then 21.7 damage on average with the Sorcerer's Burst compared to Firebolt. So this is right for Firebolt. And I was wrong. This is not the answers. They're actually slightly better. Um, So, here is the normal damage you're going to do on Sorcerer's Burst compared to Firebolt. At level 1, on average, they're going to be with the same damage. You're going to get a burst from Sorcerer's Burst, enough to keep on track with Firebolt. But after that, your higher chances of bursting are going to outpace Firebolt by 0.1 fraction of a tenth of a damage. So you're going to be outpacing it, and then that pace is going to increase to a second, sorry, not second, uh, 2/10 of a damage, and finally 3/10 of a damage, as you can see, with the uh, increasing damage numbers. But the reason why this is obvious is the more d8s you roll, the higher level you get to. This is level 1, this is level 5, this is level 11, this is level 17. The more chances of bursting, and normally bursting just once will outpace whatever damage you're going to do for Firebolt, and since you burst pretty consistently at these higher levels, it's going to outpace it. And that's also important because not only does it do more damage, it also has all the damage types that Sorcerer's Burst gets. You get, I think, off the top of my head, fire, cold, poison, acid, thunder, and lightning. I want to say all the elemental types and then poison. And psychic. That's important. And psychic. So you have a lot of damage options. That is really good. I don't think there's anything in the game that is immune to all 7 of those damage types. It is a phenomenal spell. Now, in the end, you are gambling, but that also led me to my next question is, I should do the critical damage, because that's important, because you're going to crit 5% of the time. We're going for 12%, well, 12.5% on these d8s. You're also going to crit. So I did the damage for criticals. Again, so the first the first 2 numbers are going to be equivalent to what they would be at what's it called? For the normal damage, because you're just doubling the dice, and that doubles the damage because you don't have any modifiers on these 2 spells, so straight 1-to-1. But afterwards, because there's a cap of the amount of burst damage you can do, you cap it at 5. So you got 5 extra d8s maximum. So it actually falls off, and significantly too. Well, significantly, quote unquote. This is now at 4 10/4 of a damage, and then this is actually when it does matter. This is 1 3/10 of a damage more. So there's a DPS difference here. However, because again it's a 5% chance to crit on the d20, it doesn't affect the total math here. It's you're still doing more damage with hello, editing me here. I made a mistake when it comes to the critical damage. As much as you get a 5% crit, there's also a 5% chance to outright miss with a natural 1. aka the critical damage will be the exact same, especially for Firebolt. However, because of the burst damage, it will actually be slightly different and even more in Sorcerer's Burst favor. So this is the actual numbers overall, with criticals in mind, overall trumping the firebolt damage. There is slight differences. You can see here it actually does a little bit less damage when you're including natural 1s and natural 20s. But still, it holds up to my point. The Sorcerer's Burst will do more damage on average than Firebolt. And Sorcerer's Burst. So if you were here for just this part, leave a like on the video and I'll see you. But if you want to critique my math, let's get into it. Okay. So what is going on here? So Sorcerer's Burst is a D8. And whenever you roll an 8 on the... For me, this is where my math actually could start off wrong, and this is me that the damage is greater. The Sorcerer's Burst on an 8 will allow you to roll another D8. The maximum times you can do this is your modifier. So at level 1, I think what I'm missing is actually, I think it can burst off of the burst. The way I read it, I don't think that was the case, but it might be. So I might have to fill out these 2 columns, and then for level 5, I might have to fill out these 2 columns, and then for level 11, I might have to fill out these columns. That'll just be more damage, so that'll just prove my point further. So for this, it doesn't matter. I've already done enough math yesterday. I'm good. So the average of a D8 is 4.5. It's halfway between both the numbers, and 4.5 is about the amount of damage you're doing average. So the burst damage is 8. Why is the burst damage 8? Well, if you roll an 8 on the die, you get another additional 1d8 to roll. So instead of using that 1d8 to roll, you just take the 8, and you have that be your burst damage, and you take the normal d8 and have that be your average damage. So essentially what you're doing is you're crunchy critting. But your chance of doing that is 12%. 12.5%. I have it here in decimals because it likes decimals better. If I were to put it in percentages, it doesn't quite like percentages, so we're keeping them as decimals. But right off the bat, it is a 1 in 8 chance, aka 12.5%, of getting that burst damage. So you multiply that chance by the damage, and you round up with an extra 1 damage on top. So normally 1 in every 8 tries, you're going to get an 8, and that will put you back on par with the damage of Firebolt. So if you roll about 100 times, you're likely to burst 12 of those 100 times. Bob's your uncle. That's the easy part, probability. That I already did correctly. What I messed up is the other chances of bursting in my initial video. So at level 5, we now have 2d8s. They will do an average of 9 damage with both of them. But now the burst is 16 if you hit with both. Because if you roll them twice, and they both land on 8, it'll be 16. But what are the odds of that? What I thought the odds were, and I got this right for this one, but as we go down the line it's going to be messed up, is the chance of rolling the d8s first off. Actually, no, I did mess up on this one, so what I've discovered. Probability is weird. I didn't take any math degrees in university. Any math course in university. I think it shows, but I think I got the probability down right. So what it is the chance to miss a d8 from the first time times the chance to miss a d8 the second time, which is 87.5% times 87.5%, and that gap, which would be 76 points, yada yada yada. because you're timesing the chance to hit. Sorry, the chance to miss, because it's greater, and that'll build a wider gap between. As long as you hit one of them, we just want to know what chance of hitting one of them. So if you're going to burst a single time, you would take this number now times the d8, because there's a higher chance of you at least getting a single d8. Now, if you're trying to see if you can get burst again after the first one, you get your chance to burst, which is 12%, 12.5%, times the 23.4%, yada yada yada, and that'll give you 2.9% chance of hitting twice of them. And if that happens, it's got to be 16 burst damage instead. So when we drag this over to the total damage, we take C4, which is the 16, multiplied by the slim chance that happens where they both burst, plus the chance that only one of them hits, multiplied by the burst damage. We have to subtract, because in this chance to trigger one of them is the chance to trigger both of them. So we have to subtract what the chances of the 2.9%, sorry, yeah, 2.9% from the original 23.4%. And that'll give us our full damage of 2.1, and then we'll add that to the 9 damage, giving us 11.1, which is higher than 11 on average. So listen, it's risky business. Sometimes you'll gamble and you lose, but sometimes you'll gamble and you really win. And on average, you're gonna win more than you lose. Now there's a debate where you could say sometimes you just need a little bit extra damage and not a lot extra damage, but sometimes you do need a lot of extra damage. And as this goes further, you gain more. You gain more damage separation, and these are going to be tougher fights you're going to be facing. So maybe at level 1 to 4, it might feel bad, but afterwards, it's going to show up. It's going to show out. It's going to get past those damage vulnerabilities you'll be facing from now on. Sorry, damage resistances you'll be facing from now on. Damage resistances you'll be facing from now on, and damage immunities. It can strike vulnerabilities. It is a good spell. Alright, level 11, we have 3d6s, 3d8s now, so 13.5. Burst damage now, another 8 was added, 24. We're doing the same thing. We're getting our 3 chances of missing all of them, and then the opposite is going to be our hit rate for hitting at least one of them, which is now 30%. Oh, excuse me. So when we do the damage, it's going to be this times 8. Second, it'll be 7.7% times 16, and finally 0.9% times 24 if we hit all of them. Bring it over here, we're doing the exact same thing. We are taking, that is the, yeah, that is the, I think I misordered them when doing the math for this, but they're all right. We're just taking the minuses for each one, so for the 1% we have to minus both of the percentages to get the true hit for just 8s, and then on the 16 we only minus the chance of having 3 bursts instead of 2, and then finally on that 3 bursts we just calculate, and that gives us 3.25 yada 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 extra damage. Add that to the 13.5, we end up with 16.75 yada yada yada, which is higher than 16.5. We do the same thing with the level 17 when we have 4d8. Average 18. Now it's at 32 for our burst on the rare 0.4 chance we roll fat and get d8s on all 4 of the dice. Same math here. Each one is being... Oh, sorry, I think I didn't make this clear, actually. When we move on to this... Sorry, when we move on from... Here's a good example at level 3. I should have actually slowed this down. When you have more d6s, the number multiplied, it's the chance of the reality where at least one of them hits versus the now chance of the remaining 2 chances to hit is still 23%, and you have to multiply by that by the chance that we got a d6, a d8 on the first one, and that'll give us our next number. See here? Yep. Sorry, that was very important. That's what I messed up on the original video. And then from here, we have the chance of, in that reality, what are the chances that we roll a d8? Obviously, it's 12%. So it's multiplied, and then we get it. So that's what I messed up in the original video, is that I kept on multiplying everything by a d8 chance from here. It's actually supposed to be a little bit higher as you take from what's remaining and add that chance to the number. So same thing so now it's at a 41.3% chance to hit at least once with the d6s, and you multiply that by the chance to hit at least once again with the 3 d6s, and that'll give us 13.6%, then 3.2% there, and then finally a very slim 0.04% chance of hitting all of them. And then same thing with the damages. We take our first percentage here, minus it by all the other percents that come after it, times the 8, yada yada yada. This is all the same. It'll leave us with 4.3 yada 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 extra damage plus the 18, and we'll get 23.3 higher than 22. Now what's important is crit, because this actually does show us a difference, because the maximum number of bursts we can do is 5. So at level 1 and level 5 on a crit, it's going to be the exact same damage that we do at level 5 here and level 17 here. It's the exact same numbers, nothing changes. I now put in the chance of hitting the first time every single time, because I was going to need it. So this is the chance of bursting on a d8. This is a chance of bursting once on a d12. So I just label it all out here because I didn't have access to some of the in-betweens, because this is now counting by even numbers here. So I filled in the gaps for myself. So I sometimes refer in the equations. Yeah, sometimes I refer to the equations down here. But it's all in the order. We're doing the exact same thing. It's the exact same thing here. However, the interesting thing to note is that since we cap out at 5 bursts, the damage does start to fall off, because we're not getting those extra chances to burst that we need to, because we've hit our limit, we've hit our cap. Here we have a 55% chance to actually burst with 6 d8s, and then the next chance we calculate is the number lower than 55, which is 48, with 5 d8 chances, and then we run the same thing back, multiplying by the one in front of it as our new slim chance as it goes further of rolling up more d6s, more d8s, and getting 8, as we just go down the list here. And then I hit a problem, mathematically. So yeah, sorry, actually I'll go do this one next. So we start to lose out on damage now. We're 0.4 behind. Because we've capped out at 5 d8 bursts. But fortunately, because crit's only 5% chance, towards the end of the game, you're still rolling out on top. You're still beating out the damage loss. So it's not that bad. It's not that bad. And how I calculated these crits is the normal damage up here plus the point, plus the 5% chance to crit with the crit damage added to it. Actually, wait, hold on. I just realized I think this should technically be times point. Yeah, wait, no, I messed up. That should be times 0.90 because there's also a 5% chance of rolling at 1. And... okay, you know, I'll do this real quick. Well, of course it's going to be the same damage because the 5% chance to always miss, so doing 0 damage, and there's a 5% chance of doing double the damage. So they're just going to cancel each other out, and it's going to be the same numbers. Math is fun. Yeah, wait, no, this is different. Why is this one different? That's amazing. Why is it different? Interesting. No, it is different. That's crazy. If you know why, let me down in the comments below. I think I'll have to add this recorrection now in the video of previously. That's cool. And I will definitely remember to do that. Right, editing me? You'll remember to do that, right? Well, there's one more funky math thing that I was going to go over before the video ended. And that is... oh yeah, sorry, I forgot. So the burst at 5 is going to be 40 damage. So whenever that rare chance that we get 5 here, it's going to be multiplied by the 40 down here. That rare chance of bursting at 0.04%, 0.008%. Yeah. Oh no, that's actually 4% chance. Yeah, sorry, that is a 4% chance because with 8d8, there's 4% chance that at least 5 of those d8s. That's the rare one right there. So what very interestingly happened is when doing this is that when I first did this damage number was actually lower, and that's because I put a sneaky little minus there. So why did I do that? Well, I was very confused why it was coming out lower. How do I get rid of this? There we go. So when I did that burst damage times 40, it comes out with 1.77 blah 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 blah. When I do it here with the 10% chance times 32, it comes out with 2.007 blah 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 blah. When I do the 21%, 21.9 times 24, it comes out with 1.64. When I do the 39.8% chance times 16, it comes out with 0.441. But every single time I'm doing that, I'm not actually multiplying they're just these two numbers together. I have to subtract from the previous chances. So I subtracted from this chance of happening, this chance of happening from this one, this chance of happening from these two, lowering the percentage. And it got to the point where these 4 outcomes are more likely together than just rolling a single d8 once. So it comes out negative. All 4 of these outcomes are more likely to happen than the d12, so it comes out negative. This is another thing where I might have done my math wrong, is that it overflowed into into the chances that the most likely outcome is bursting twice rather than bursting once, or even more than bursting twice. So twice or more is more likely than bursting one time. So I added the minus here to make it a positive again. Okay, please don't add that to the math. That's my temporary fix to it. I think that works out, but I'm not a mathematician, so somebody get on this. I don't know why this phenomenon happened. I think that's why it happened. I think that putting the negative there will fix the math up to what the chances should be. But yeah, this is what I've got for Sorcerous Burst. Quick little video. It's just I was so curious because they were so adamant that it was worse damage, and I knew it wasn't. And this is my more thorough, in-depth guide on what I think the probability is of dealing more damage than Firebolt. It still pales in comparison to just saying, I'm gonna take a two level dip into Warlock, and I'm gonna get Eldritch Blast and Agonizing Blast for Eldritch Blast, and you're gonna do more damage. What I tell you. But if you want to have a lot of elemental damage types, actually a lot of damage types, not even elemental, Sorcerer's Burst is the way to go, and to talk to sorcerers. So, screw you, wizards. So that's been me. If you liked the video, like it. If you dislike it, dislike it. If you want to explain how all this works, and if I'm wrong, that's totally fine. I think this is a community group problem now of trying to figure out is how much damage does the spell do. This is my best attempt at it. I'm pretty sure this is right. To the best of my grade 12 math knowledge. So have a good one.